Okay, welcome back to another episode of the Critical Introverts podcast. It's been kind of a minute, but life happens. So here we are. I'm your host, Senor Filth, and I'm with a new guest today, by the name of Felix Javier Aranes. Did I pronounce that right?
Oh yeah.
I guess if you want to just introduce yourself.
All right. So I'm Felix. I'm from the Philippines, right across the Pacific, pretty much. So I'm 30 years old. I've never been to the U.S. actually, to be perfectly honest. I'm been here all my life, pretty much. What else? I'm kind of libertarian-ish.
Mm-hmm.
If you were to if I were to mark myself, in some political map, I can't really say I'm full out libertarian since I'm still trying to understand more
Right.
more about it. But it's what's been resonating with me for the past 10 years, pretty much ever since I came back to, ironically, ever since I came back to the Catholic Church,
Mm-hmm.
and it's how do I say this? It's only gotten more pronounced ever since 2020 because I
Right.
mean if if you don't know, here in the Philippines, we've had the longest lockdown in the world. So it
Really?
could really do, yeah, yeah. I mean, we started around March of 2020. We ended only after the elections back in 2022 with the new
Wow.
president. Yeah, just a few months after the 2022 elections, the lockdowns were over. The mask mandates were over as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Oh.
it is crazy. So it can really do a number on your views living under that.
Well, I had no idea it was that long over there. Wow.
Oh yeah, it was.
Did you see kind of like how how would you say like how in line were the people over there? Were they a little bit more rebellious or?
No, actually. Well, there were some. I mean, going by in usual Filipino fashion, you usually go for what's most convenient for you. But then
Mhm.
everyone really bought into the whole hoax. Really,
Mhm.
everyone started masking up, and a lot of people were. Uh, they pretty much lined up for to get the Fauci ouchie, pretty much.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's I and my family, we didn't go for that actually. And it's kind of sad because we see most of our friends and most of the people around us pressuring us to get it
Mhm.
now, so that so that you could see us, and even some relatives from abroad too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you right away have like a suspicion on it, or did you kind of like?
No, actually, here's the funny thing. I was down with the hoax
Mhm.
during day one. Like, I masked up whenever I'd go out to buy groceries because I was in the capital area in
Uh-huh.
Manila back when it happened. So I was pretty much trapped there. I was here in my hometown. So I would mask up. I was even considering getting the vax for a time, right before they released it. Like, they
Mhm.
were still in talks about it. It was only when I came back here to my hometown, and when I when I spoke to some family members of mine who were a little more awake about it,
Yeah.
that's when I started the sort of questioning it. And my parish priest, God rest his soul, because he passed away that same year I came back, he I noticed he wasn't wearing a mask whenever he'd celebrate mass, and all the churches were locked down. I mean, all the priests pretty much went with the government.
Yeah.
And but this guy, he was still going for it, like doing mass every Sunday. And when I'd go there, I noticed he was wearing mask. And then suddenly he would speak out against the Fauci ouchie. Like,
Mhm.
man, that guy was so based.
Really? Yeah, he sounds like an awesome priest. Wow. What was his name?
Father Esperidion Celis, we call him Father Boy Celis.
Hmm. Was he
I Yeah.
was it like from the church that you kind of always went to as a kid, or
Oh
was?
yeah. Well, when I came back to the church, that was around 10 years ago.
Mhm.
So he was the parish priest I stuck with
Mhm.
ever since, until he passed away that same year.
Mm. Do you know what he passed away of?
Well, oh, okay. So the official diagnosis was that he was positive with the coof,
Mhm.
but I think that's just BS because, well, that guy that guy was a machine. Like
Mm-hmm.
he never rested. Like he went sleepless nights just preparing for whatever he do. I mean, he didn't just do it every Sunday like mass and all that.
Yeah.
He did it every day,
Wow.
and he went so many nights sleepless, and so I think it was just taking a toll on his health pretty much. But then when they delivered him to the hospital, they declared him positive with a coof, and
Mm.
then they gave him remdesivir, which I'm not sure if you know, it ruins your lungs pretty much. Like it
Wow.
does more harm to your body than it helps. So he struggled with the fibrosis after that, and when he was released, he was sent back to the hospital again, and that's when he passed away because his lungs just failed, like with all the water being pumped in.
Wow. That's a bummer.
Yeah.
Has there been any kind of like other priests that have been like as based since he's kind of gone away over there?
Mm, well, there were a few, but they're not as, how do I say this? Not as in the open as he
Hmm.
is. I
Okay.
mean, as he was rather.
Hmm.
Because everybody else, oh man, it's just so disappointing, like
Yeah.
seeing all the other priests say that, oh, you know, the pope said it's an act of charity to get the vax,
Yeah.
so you might as well get the vax. Some even tried to twist the teaching and say that it's a mortal sin not to get vax, because I know there was one priest over there in the US who actually did say that, and it it prevented a lot of faithful Catholics who didn't want to get injected
Mm-hmm.
from getting religious exemptions from work, just
Yeah.
because they used that one soundbite by that one priest over there.
Was he in California? Because I think that
Oh, this guy?
yeah.
Which one? Oh, uh,
But
I don't
again,
know. I think he's from the East Coast.
mm,
He belonged to an order. He wasn't diocesan, I believe.
right. Mm.
Yeah.
That's some shit, man. Um.
Yeah.
All right. I guess let's kind of just go into just growing up in the Philippines. Like how was it as far as like your childhood and things like that?
Well, my childhood was pretty sheltered, and it was kind of, how do I say this? I mean, I like it was a fun time looking back. Video games, Disney
Mm-hmm.
cartoons. I didn't really go for the local stuff pretty much, like local TV,
Mm-hmm.
because we had the old school Disney Channel Asia in those days,
Right. Right.
and there was this one channel that would just show bootlegged videos of animated movies from back in the day.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, yeah. So I got my daily dose of like the old stuff there,
Hmm.
like old Mickey Mouse shorts,
So
pretty
you're kind
much.
of like heavily like kind of influenced by like that American culture kind of thing from a young age.
Yeah, yeah, sort of. And it's cool too because my one of my aunts, the one who lives in LA now,
Uh huh.
so she would send VHS tapes that she'd record on Disney Channel, send them like we'd have episodes of Darkwing Duck whenever they'd come back sometimes, or
Right.
they'd just mail it to us. Darkwing Duck, other cartoons too, like what was it? Yeah, like the old Aladdin
Right.
series. Oh, yeah,
Oh, so like a lot of the Disney kind of daytime.
yeah,
Okay, that's
yeah. Most of
cool.
the Disney. Yeah,
Okay. Um, I guess like how do you feel about the state of Disney nowadays?
really sad actually. It's far from the Disney I definitely grew up with. I mean, I still look. I mean, I still
Mm-hmm.
use concept art as references, even though I don't really like some of the movies nowadays, like
Mm-hmm.
Ryan the Last Dragon. I just check for like the character designs and just the concept art because I think it's still pretty cool. But generally, with the final delivery, like the final product,
Mm-hmm.
hmm, it's not exactly. I mean, it's it's
Yeah.
another thing entirely. It's not really the Disney I grew up with, pretty much.
Yeah, it is a bummer too, because like for a lot of people, like Disney is sort of like the standard of like mainstream entertainment, and to see it kind of at the state it
Yeah,
is now, it's so sad because you know, like I wish kids could like experience watching something like The Lion King the first time I saw it, something as good as that, and still holds up and
yeah.
like I hate the movie Frozen. Like I just I don't
Oh,
like that movie at
same.
all.
You
Uh,
and I both.
like I've tried watching it like multiple times, and I just don't get the appeal of it at all.
Oh,
Um,
totally.
like I hate the fact that there's not really a villain in that movie. Um,
Oh yeah, the villain there, the prince who reveals himself in the end, he was pretty lame if you actually consider him a villain.
yeah, I just like how like in the kind of like the golden age '90s villains, like the villains were like the main kind of drivers of the story.
Yeah,
Like Jafar, he's like technically the most important character of Aladdin because he makes the story happen. Same thing with Scar, but yeah,
yeah,
Frozen. I remember like first time watching it with my girlfriend, and I was like maybe an hour and something in. I was just like, is there's a villain in this or yet or no? Like what's going on?
right.
I hated it. Yeah. Um.
Um,
Let's see. Uh. I guess give or take. Would you say like is it primarily Disney that kind of got you into just creating art, or was there anything else beyond that?
well, I mean, Disney was a huge influence on me. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
there was also other animation animated stuff from back then too that came out, like the stuff on Cartoon Network back in the 90s,
Mm-hmm.
and also the video games I played, because I started playing what is this? I started playing the first Command and Conquer when I was like 3 or 4 years old, and I remember just drawing like just drawing the. I mean, are you familiar with that game?
Uh, it sounds vaguely familiar. Uh, I can't think of it though.
Okay, well, I'll just keep it simple then. I used to make fan art
Mm-hmm.
pretty much of Command and Conquer back then, and there was also stuff like Commander Keen,
I know that.
Doom, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
What else? Yeah, yeah, the good old stuff, pretty much the
Right,
ones
right,
you play
right.
on Microsoft DOS.
Yeah, I remember when Doom came out. I think it was only I was in maybe like third grade, roughly, and it was interesting because everyone else was like on NES and Genesis at that time. It was only
Hmm.
me and I think this other kid named Nick, and we are the only ones that kind of only played Doom, and it was just interesting. Like everything else seems so tamed compared to Doom. Um, yeah, it
Yeah,
was like, and we felt like so adult playing that game.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
it's funny too because my parents didn't really mind.
Hmm.
Yeah, and I was in kindergarten then too.
Yeah. Did you
Yeah.
did you do you remember the passwords for the cheat codes for Doom, the original Doom still?
No, not anymore. It's
Uh
been a while.
I
And
still I still have it
oh,
memorized in my head. I don't even know why I still memorize them, but yeah, there was
oh,
ID clip was the code to be able to pass through walls. I think ID
ah,
DDQ D was like God mode, and I think ID KFA or something like that was to get infinite ammo and stuff like that. But I have no idea why I still remember that because I haven't even played the game since I was a kid.
man, been a while.
Yeah. um. Okay. Yeah, let's kind of get a little bit into like you mentioned that you kind of left the church and you came back. What sort of like prompted that? Like what first made you kind of leave the church in the first place?
Okay, well, it wasn't really from some hatred of the church or anything. Like, I didn't really have a bad experience with some priest or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
It just so happened that in my first year in university, because I went to this Jesuit university over in the capital, over in Manila, and I was 16 years old, and I spent 10 years of my life in a Jesuit school. So this was a Jesuit university, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure if you know, but jesuit Jesuit institutions there, pretty much in the US and maybe here too, they kind of have a reputation of being a little more woke, a little more
Mm.
not so Catholic. So there was this one instructor who basically said something about how, like, you can't really you can't really go to the mass anymore. I mean, or rather, it's not really required.
Hmm.
And not sure if you're not sure if you're practicing Catholic or Christian
I
or
mean,
not, but
I grew up Catholic, but I haven't really. I've been thinking about religion more and more the last couple years, but yeah.
okay.
Um,
So this guy. So I mean, for me at that time, since I had a really sort of sheltered childhood, so I was in a big city at 16 years old, and he says that you can't really, I mean, you aren't really required to go to church anymore because God's only inviting you and stuff like that. And I said, oh, wait a minute. This
mm.
isn't the stuff I learned back in high school. Or this isn't the stuff I learned back in elementary school.
Yeah.
So it kind of did a number on my, and there was this whole thing happening too in the country called the reproductive health bill that was
Hmm.
being debated hotly. And then I noticed on that same day I got like the school paper and it said like majority of students in in this Jesuit university supported it. It's
Hmm.
basically providing free contraception for, yeah, the usual family planning BS like
Right.
that. Yeah, I said, hey, wait a minute, if the bishops are calling this out, then why are the people here in this university, which is supposedly Catholic,
Hmm.
not following this? Like why are they
What
supporting contraception?
like
Yeah,
what year roughly was this?
this was 2010, 2011.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, so and at that time I had a friend who was sort of coaxing me to go to her it was a non-denominational church run by some Korean female pastor.
Hmm.
So when I got there and then I joined them for Bible study, and I thought, wow, they seem to actually know their stuff more compared to like the Catholics. So
Hmm.
it's like from that point I just started becoming like more Protestant, more
Hmm.
non-denom for a while. But I didn't really have like some resentment against the church. I just thought that, they couldn't really get settled on one thing, so I might as well just look for it elsewhere, like
Yeah.
look for truth elsewhere.
Did you say it was a female pastor?
Yeah, female pastor, a female Korean pastor. It was
Yeah.
one of those Korean churches.
Right. How do you side note, like how do you feel about the idea of like female pastors? Because I know some people are against that and others don't really
Of like
mind.
female pastors.
Yeah.
It doesn't really leave a good taste to me anymore. I mean, at that time, I was sort of open to it, I guess,
Hmm.
because I mean, I thought that, I mean, I didn't really, I mean, at that time, I thought I had like, I mean, I kind of knew the difference between a pastor and a priest at that time, so
Hmm.
I thought it was cool. But in general, I don't really, it doesn't really bode well with me anymore. I think it's just like one way of like, how do I say this? It's soft feminism, I would say.
Hmm. Hmm. Okay, I got you. Yeah, and this was when you kind of you became Protestant in this time.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, just for a few years, just for a few years. But then it just sort of dawned on me that I mean, the novelty. I mean, it was great for a time. I mean, I felt like there was a sense of community,
Hmm.
and we were all like reading the Bible together and stuff. But then over time, it just felt like the whole praise and worship thing, like with with the electric guitars and drums, it started feeling a little uh, played out
Kind of
around this
cringe,
time.
kind of
Yeah,
cringy.
yeah, yeah. Well, kind of cringy, but at the same time, it's like there's not. I don't feel that spark anymore.
Hmm.
So I thought of like going to a mainline Protestant church because I thought that it was closer to like my upbringing as a Catholic. But
Hmm.
little did I know, I found myself back in my hometown, and then I'd hear this rumor about the guy who would be my parish priest,
Hmm.
like something because not a lot of other priests like him here for certain reasons,
Hmm.
but I mean just for the wrong reasons pretty much. But then it made me a little curious, so I decided to see what's up. And then when I got there for mass one time, I started hearing him out like during a sermon, and then I'd say, "Hey, this guy actually knows what he's talking about." And then I started attending more, and then they would have these theology on tap every week, and then I started attending that too, and then I just
Hmm.
found myself sort of drifting back to Rome.
Hmm.
more or less.
And this was around what year would you say this was kind of?
Uh, Late 2013.
Hmm. And you've been pretty much just Catholic since then.
Yeah.
Was it so you never really had a time where you like just went away completely from religion, went an agnostic or anything like that?
Oh no, not exactly.
How do you feel about that kind of the idea of someone living without kind of religion in their life? Um,
Well,
like, do
this
you
is.
have any
Hmm.
friends or anything like that that are
I mean,
non-religious?
yeah, I do have buddies who don't really subscribe to a religion,
Mm-hmm.
but I mean, I don't try to force it on them because that's not the way you should go
Mm-hmm.
about it. I think you should meet them where they are. But in their case, hmm, it's either they had like a bad experience in church, or that sort of like after they go to college or university, they start drifting away, start questioning some deeply held truths. Because a number of these folks, a number of relatives of mine too,
Mm-hmm.
it's like they've been Catholic all their life, so they weren't really exposed beyond that, or they weren't really taught how to, like, how do they say this? They weren't really taught some deeper essentials that would ground them in that faith.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like when they encounter something new, like what happened to me back then, it sort of rocks their world pretty much.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And but personally, for me, I think religion, s- or believing in God, I think that's more or less a human function,
Mm-hmm.
really, because it's like, I mean, all these people I've noticed, like, especially on the woke side, the whole new atheism thing, is
Yeah,
it
I remember
really?
that.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
yeah, it's kind of dropping out, more or less. Like what is the name of this guy on YouTube? Amazing Atheist. Yeah,
Oh,
he's
yeah. Is he still
yeah.
around? I haven't seen him in a while.
Yeah. Right, right. I mean, it's like I used to see him on the front of YouTube every time I'd
Mm-hmm.
log in back then, like when I was in high school. But nowadays, it's like he's pretty much fizzled out. And lately, even Richard Dawkins is starting to consider
Yeah, I've
himself
been
a
seeing
cultural
that too.
Christian. Yeah, so
And
it's like, so like, even the wokes, I mean, even though they like hate religion and all that, they're still trying to fill that void, and so they can't
yeah.
entirely consider themselves atheists. So that's why you have these arto feminists going for Wicca. You have these whiteoids going for neo paganism.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that is interesting. Like, what happened to Dawkins, and yeah, I've seen a lot of like former like loud atheists kind of slowly drifting back into religion. It's interesting. Like, what's her name? Yana Hersey Ali, I think, also
Oh yeah,
turned
her.
Christian
Yeah,
too.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, it's kind of I don't know. I think personally, this is one thing that I like. What's made me kind of like look more into religion last I don't know year or so. I think like once you take that away, like life becomes a little bit more like so, kind of boring. Like there's nothing beyond just and like it takes away this need to like kind of grow. It's weird to say.
Right.
Because like I was talking to a friend a while back and talking about the Bible, and he just said like you don't read the Bible, you study it. And I never like thought of
Mhm.
it that way, like this idea to constantly try to learn and like pick up things as you grow. And like if you take that away from people, people just stay stunted, and they're just life becomes kind of very empty and kind of boring. And I don't know.
Right.
It's it's really kind of like made me kind of look at the world differently in the last couple. I would say like definitely during COVID, like just my view of religion and society and all that kind of stuff. Um, I don't know, but like, how did you sort of did your religion kind of like change or get stronger when COVID happened?
In a way, it did actually, because, well, I know people who've had their faith rocked, especially with like the current pope when it
Mm-hmm.
came to like the vaccine and all that. But on my end, it sort of made me think that at this time we need more people. I mean, we need more people to be more hopeful. You shouldn't take the black pill
Mm-hmm.
at this time. It's very necessary to it's very necessary to keep everyone, including the current pope, in our prayers and all
Mm-hmm.
that. And well, it's like a mask off moment for a lot. Uh, I mean, for a lot of the people in power.
Mm-hmm.
So we're seeing evil at our face, in front of our faces, pretty much. So if there's evil, and if we only think that evil, I mean, if we only think that it's just evil out there, then where's the good, you know?
Yeah.
So definitely going back to that, like going back to religion, going back to prayer and all that, it's sort of just solidified that I'm hopefully in the right path.
Mm.
uh,
Yeah. I mean, the concept of evil has been really interesting to me. Like, it's like if we look at like the trans kid thing. I think the people
yeah.
that are super in favor of it, are, I think they're like well-meaning, but um, I think they just don't realize like the little things that like the castration of kids. That's a big issue that they kind of overlook.
Right.
There's the kind of the idea of people like not accepting reality for what it is. Like all these little things,
Yeah.
they will just lead someone to live a very kind of resentful life in the long term. And
Hmm.
it's like does one? I've asked this question many times, but it's like, does one have to be aware of what they're doing in order for them to be evil? Um, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Like this one. Oh wait, could you repeat that?
I mean, like the people that are like the trans kid thing, for example, like the people that are so defensive over it. Like I think they're just annoying. They don't know what they're doing. I think they're just
Oh,
doing
okay.
going based solely on compassion or whatever, but they don't understand like the long term effects of it, things like that. And it's like, is that person evil for going along with it, or like?
Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I mean, there was a saying about how like the road to hell is paved with good intentions, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe those persons aren't inherently evil.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I do believe that each one of us, I mean, everybody's like, if we're supposedly made in the image of God, we're supposed to be inherently good, but
Mm-hmm.
then we falter along the way. I mean, that's just the folly of mankind and all.
Right.
So when it comes to when it comes to these parents transing their kids, I think there's some that are like actually vile,
Mm-hmm.
like
Yeah.
actual, groomers. But on the other hand, I think there are people who are just so misinformed, like they just take in wholesale whatever the MSM is saying, or whatever their favorite politician, or whatever their favorite liberal influencer is saying. So
Mm-hmm.
what they're doing is evil, but the person I mean, I don't know if that makes sense, but
Yeah.
the person isn't like inherently evil. I think there's like some, I mean, that person still has the ability to sort of redeem himself,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm. Yeah.
And it's even though it's going to be like, even though it's going to take some time and going to take a lot of heartaches along the way, because I mean, I've seen stories of that, like they only realize a little too late.
Yeah. Yeah.
uh,
Mm. Yeah. Okay. I guess we can kind of let's move along. Let's get kind of into the Jordan Peterson thing. Because you had a piece on your Instagram where you you're kind of done with like neocons and stuff like that. And one of the
Yeah.
images, and one of
Is
it,
that
one,
how you found me?
I think so. I think someone I followed just reposted that little GIF or something like that.
Oh, okay.
Um, yeah, and I didn't notice that one of the images was Jordan Peterson until like a couple days ago.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I'm just curious, like, you know, you one of your you're describing something about his take on porn with Dennis Prager, and
Yeah.
should we play the clip or should we just talk about it? I guess we can just kind of just sort of I could just talk about it. So you mentioned
Sure.
that I guess like what's your issue with the his take on it?
Well, I think he let a lot of folks down
Mm-hmm.
with this total 180 he did on porn. I mean, it's no surprising because he's with the Daily Wire now, so
Mm-hmm.
he pretty much just parrots whatever his bosses are saying, whatever Ben Shapiro, whatever or Ben Shapiro's friends, pretty much like Dennis Prager,
Mm-hmm.
whatever they're saying. So I think, uh, I mean, it sucks too because what he said in the past about porn, how it really just ruins men. I mean, it's
Mm-hmm.
really just the reason for why men's rooms are dirty, like why
Mm-hmm.
they have to clean them up pretty much. That actually made a lot of sense compared to what he's just echoing now when it comes to Prager on porn, like how it's if it's supposedly evil, it's a lesser evil compared to other things. But wait a minute, how? I mean, weren't you saying the opposite way
Mm-hmm.
back before that? Like how porn actually is actually a gateway for other nastier stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
But like, isn't like if like you said, porn's a gateway to the nastier stuff. But if someone just stops with porn, I think I'll just defend Jordan in that sense. If
yeah,
someone just stops with the porn instead of going further and doing whatever, um, like I think that's the thing that he was sort of just kind of giving an inch on was just that little aspect of not going further, but at least okay, you saw a porn video, but you're not going worse.
yeah.
Um, um, I think that's the only part of that I'll defend, but
Hmm.
um, yeah, it's interesting. Like my take on porn has sort of changed, also within the last couple of years too. Because I was a I would watch porn, you know, and I'm not sure, even really sure if it was like Jordan Peterson himself that made me stop, but it was just like I just thought like, okay, if I'm spending, a half hour looking for porn to watch, if I just stop that and use that half hour to do something else, like do this show or work out or draw
Exactly.
or read, like in the long term, like things will just get better for me. You know what I mean? And
Exactly.
um
I mean, it's not just about. I mean, porn isn't just about because, like, the images are like inappropriate and all that. I mean, that's just the surface of it.
mhm,
It's what happens after, like, what the man is depriving himself of.
mhm,
That's the. I mean, that's something that doesn't really. I mean, that isn't really taken into account whenever someone would say like, oh, it actually just stops him from like, as Prager would say, actually having an affair
mhm,
like a married man from having an affair. So it might be as well. I mean, it's better to have him jerk off. But
yeah.
yeah, as you've said, like a lot of time wasted, a lot of energy wasted as well.
Yeah, because that's one of the things like I just realized like when I would like look at porn, I would spend quite amount of time not necessarily masturbating, but just like looking for a scene to bookmark to for to like masturbate later in the week.
Yeah,
Like that time was like maybe 20 minutes to 30 minutes. I just like whoa shit like I really spend that much time wasting like doing
all
some
right.
stupid like that. Um,
Yeah,
So yeah, just little shit like that has really made me kind of shift my perspective on porn. Not so much like the vulgarity of it, because I understand that. I don't think anyone that watches porn doesn't understand that, but
Right.
just the like little mundane things like that. Yeah, it's just like it's such a time waster, and it's a trip. Have you followed anything of this? I wouldn't know her name, but like that one like OnlyFans girl that turned.
Oh, the one who says she's accepted Christ into her life, the
Yeah,
one with the red hair.
yeah, the red hair girl.
Yeah, I haven't really gotten deep into that, but
Mhm.
I've seen a few arguments because there are some. I mean, conservatives are having another meltdown over it, like a lot of infighting again, just
Yeah.
over this issue, which to me is actually pretty petty. I mean, it's just supposed to be between her and God, pretty
Mhm.
much. And but there was this one argument made by one of these Catholic pages that I follow, one of these well, edgy Catholic pages I follow on Twitter, who said that, yeah, yeah, there are those
So
types of
edgy,
rants.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he made the point that if you do, I mean, if you do really, I mean, just given the reputation that you were a former porn star
Mhm.
and that you suddenly accept Christ in your life, it might be as well better for everybody because given your special circumstances that you just tune off of public public life pretty much, like
Mhm.
close down all your socials, focus on truly going back because you're not really helping your case. I mean, there will be a lot of. I mean, what
Yeah, I
she
mean,
feels is just what she feels is between her and God, but there will be a lot of people judging along the way, and
right.
that's going to take a toll on you over time.
Mhm.
So there, and indeed, there are a lot of people that are definitely out there judging her, but then she's not really making her case any better by posting selfies of her in the gym, all while saying that she's Christian, you know?
So you
And
think the fact that that she should uh how would I say, like, be more private about it?
yeah, take some time. I mean, I'm not saying that she should hold off from social media entirely. I just think
Mhm.
that she should take a break from it in the
Mhm.
meantime because this is a big transition in her life. You don't take take this lightly, like finding religion again. You know?
Right. Hmm. Did you also follow what is her Cat Von Teese? The that one like
Oh yeah, yeah,
tattoo.
I've heard. Yeah, the tattoo artist.
Yeah, yeah. Um,
Yeah, wasn't that last year? Like she proclaimed that she was Christian, apparently.
it might have been or a few months. I don't remember. I just she popped in my head because I remember like maybe 3 months ago I saw a podcast with her and oh my
Hmm.
god, what's her name? Allie something. Uh,
Ali Stuckey.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, 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 Ali Beth Stuckey.
Yeah, and she
Yeah.
was talking about, and she seemed relatively genuine, and she seemed like she was just trying to learn how to become a better follower and stuff like that.
Mhm.
Um, but you haven't followed much on that on her transition or
Well,
anything like that.
I've watched one video about it,
Mm-hmm.
uh, and more power to her. More
Mm-hmm.
power to her. But I haven't really dug
Mm-hmm.
deeper into it. You know.
Is there anything specifically that you kind of look forward to to see if whether or not someone's kind of genuine or kind of grifting on that kind of on the I found religion tip?
It's just if you see certain patterns in their behavior. I mean, if they proudly proclaim it the first time, then
Mhm.
sure, we should always give the benefit of a doubt. But then over time, once you start seeing patterns, kind of like Pearl, for example. Yeah,
Yeah.
because I recall she made a tweet that she grew up Catholic and that she's apparently Catholic.
Mhm.
But then months before that, she was dunking on a Catholic tradition, a Catholic sacrament that is on confession, and she was doing the whole Muslim grift during
Mhm.
that time. And then later now she's saying this stuff about certain parables, like especially on this OnlyFans girl, the one
Oh,
who
the one that
found
got
Christ.
pregnant or something like that? Or no, no, no.
Yeah. Oh no no
Is-
no the one we were talking about
Oh,
earlier.
okay, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
Nala was her name. Yeah, so
Yeah, okay.
she was like saying, so she was like going all out on Nala and saying that, and when people were like coming after Pearl saying that stuff like, I mean, they were citing biblical verses, and there was this one like on the prodigal son, and she just says, "I hate this parable." So how could you be a Catholic and still say that? You know?
Yeah. Uh, yeah. I don't know. The Pearly, I can't really judge her because I've never like given her the time to really like make an opinion on her. I've only kind of like just watched clips of her. And she's a hard pill to crack. I'm not
Yeah,
yeah. Cause
she's
I
not easy in the eyes either.
yeah, yeah. Cause I like she was on what trigonometry. Have you seen that podcast?
Oh yeah, I'm familiar with that.
Yeah, she was on there, and but weirdly enough, the two hosts like were had like something really against her having
Oh yeah, they were.
they were on her about like having I think Nick Fuentes on her show or something like
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Right, right.
And I think she just said like I explained it on my show, you can watch it, let's move on, and they just kept coming back to it like trying to see if she'll change her position or
Right.
something, and it just like it made me kind of root for Lucy for Pearly
Oh
but
yeah, I mean, she did nothing wrong. I mean, I'm ready to admit that she didn't really do anything wrong there, because
mhm
like it's like really unnecessary. I mean, there are a lot of things you could talk about, like
mhm
just her repeated the grifting and just her being,
yeah, yeah,
Pearl in general. But then all you decided to hyper focus on was just this one time. This one time she brought
yeah.
Nick Fuentes into her show.
It does say something about like the culture. It is like Pearly, someone like Pearly can become famous and like be on like Pierce Morgan or whatever, and she just
Yeah.
really for the most part like she just a lot of like the stuff that she says that's gotten viral. Um, like a lot of it's just kind of like common sense kind of stuff that just pisses off the left, and it's interesting like how easy kind of become famous just pissing off the left in that sense, and
Yeah,
it
like
really
just giving a few base takes, and suddenly you're far right all of a sudden.
yeah, yeah.
The bar is that low now, my friend.
I know, and it's so bizarre because like I'm relatively kind of like a left leaning guy, but like just by doing this show and asking the questions and having like conversing with people like you and other even just like Christians or like libertarians like in
Yeah.
my kind of immediate circle of people that know me, like I'm the right wing guy now.
Oh.
It's I mean, and
Yeah.
but I worry about the left so much, way more than the right. Um,
Oh, really?
yeah, it just like at least from like, and this is come. I'm someone who grew up in LA, so I'm looking at it from like someone who's surrounded by the left, Los Angeles left,
Yeah.
and it's like
The whole Chicano thing,
the what?
the whole Chicano movement
That
and stuff.
is irritating, but just regular like Hollywood leftist kind of shit. Like they don't like a lot of it is like they're so unaware of like the direction that they're going with everything that and the shit they say. Um, like like you're Catholic, so I'm pretty sure you have a very like your view in abortion is a. I can probably guess what your position on
Oh yeah.
abortion is,
Oh yeah.
and and more power to you and stuff like that. But like the amount of the amount of like Instagram post of like abortion saves lives, abortion creates families post that I've been seeing the last couple of days has like made me so like just annoyed with the left. Uh,
Yeah.
I mean, and it's just like that. Like they just don't understand the stuff that like they're kind of playing with fire with some of the stuff that they're kind of latching onto. Um,
Hmm.
to the point where like someone like me, who actually like I'm pretty left leaning, is considered like right wing because I have, uh, you know, uh, some aversion to the trans agenda shit. You know what I mean? Like if
Yeah.
you're not
Right.
in line with everything and just like not only like you either have to stay quiet or like virtue signal up to the high heavens that you support whatever. If like if you have like the slightest bit of no, I don't think that's a good idea. You're like the Trump supporting right winger Alex Jones guy,
Oh, totally.
and I don't really get that with the right as much. Like you can have a little bit more of a disagreement on the right and they'll still like be cool with you. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
And they don't really like pigeonhole you as bad as like the
Yeah.
regular leftist is. So yeah, and
Yeah.
that
Totally.
uh, yeah, and that's why I would say like the left like worries me more than the right because the right at least knows kind of what they're talking about, and the left has no. Uh, they treat things more like in fads, I guess you could say.
Hmm.
um like the time like this is the position of the month, we're gonna stand by it no matter what,
Oh, right. Right.
and then move on, and then if we're like proven wrong months later, we'll just get mad at you for bringing it up or some shit like that.
Yeah. Or pivot to something else.
Yeah, so yeah, I mean, at least the right has like positions that they're like they stand on, and I mean, like it's stuff that's like actual like principles that they're actually standing on rather than uh they don't want to lose friends because they have an opinion on this, you know what I mean? So
Right. Right.
it's that kind
But
of stuff.
yeah. My issue with the right, however, I mean, if
Oh yeah,
is
we can go into that. Yeah.
all right. My issue with the right, however, I mean, I don't really consider myself on the spectrum. Pretty much,
Hmm.
it's just because it's just too fake and gay at this point. But
Yeah.
yeah, but it's like
I think I'll title this episode "Fake and Gay" just for the.
okay, but the thing about the right that I've noticed, because I tend to lean on the right, even though I don't really consider myself on the right
Right.
anymore. It's just that uh I've noticed, especially as of late, like the whole thing with Candace Owens versus Ben Shapiro
Hmm.
thing
Yeah.
that's happening. There's a whole lot of revealing going on. I mean, in the sense that they try to shut down people who supposedly like have these things to say about Israel, for example,
Yeah.
like the whole funding
Yeah.
uh, funding wars abroad and stuff. And and just the thing about how there's like this whole have you ever heard of this organization called APAC?
Uh, I've it does sound familiar. I can't think of what it stands for.
Yeah, it's the wait, I keep forgetting what it stands for too, but it's like it's the American. Okay, here it is. It's the American Israel Public Affairs Committee.
Okay.
So
Yeah.
that's like a lobby. That's like a lobbying group for uh for pro-Israel positions,
Hmm.
pretty much,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
just for overseas funding, more or less. So a lot of politicians, especially Republicans, tend to veer towards that direction. And I mean, I'm not an American, by the way, but and it's just that I tend to follow a lot of what's going on there, because there's this whole saying about how like whenever America sneezes, the world catches a cold. So whatever happens there affects
Yeah.
us here too, at least in the culture.
Yeah.
So and I'm against all foreign funding, especially in here in the third world as well.
Hmm.
But uh, Israel is a special kind of beast though, because uh, it's like the U.S. sends billions of dollars just
Hmm.
funding its military and all that. But for what exactly? I mean,
Yeah.
there've been plenty of things that I can't really get into right now.
Yeah.
There are plenty of things that have sort of compromised. America's national security just for that. But then again, you still have a lot of Republican politicians, even governors who don't have anything to like, even the most remote ones, like Governor Christy Nome of South Dakota, I think it was, say something about like make statements about supporting Israel, even though you're a governor. What
Yeah.
do your yeah what does it have to do
Yeah,
with
yeah.
Israel all of a sudden? I mean, what does it have to do with your state? And like how Ron DeSantis just flew over to Jerusalem some
Yeah,
months
that was
ago
weird. Yeah.
just to sign a bill. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So that's the thing. That's the thing that's sort of being revealed among the right
Mhm.
as of late. Like this whole fixation on Israel, because I think most people don't really care about what's going on there because it doesn't
Oh,
really affect
definitely,
their
yeah.
daily lives pretty much. Yeah, I mean, people care more about the border. People care more about uh, stuff that happened during the lockdowns, all the livelihoods that were gone, all the people that were fired.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, the Israel thing is becoming like that topic that just you can never not get people pissed off at you for just
yeah,
it's just yeah, god. Like like it, the impossibility to have conversations is like so it's really dead and it just sucks.
yeah.
I don't know.
It's man, it's just so hyper polarized these days, huh?
Yeah, and like it makes me wonder like how if it's always kind of been like that and Trump just sort of like made it obvious or
Oh yeah, I've been thinking of that too. It's
mm,
like there's been like a great revealing of sorts in that sense, and how the old normal
yeah.
isn't actually that awesome to begin with. Yeah,
Yeah.
because it's just that I mean the new normal sucks. Don't get me wrong, but it's just that in the old normal, a lot of people weren't really aware of all these shady things that were happening in the background.
Yeah, yeah,
You know?
yeah. All right, let's get into some stories real quick and then we'll kind of start to end the show. Let me see if I can share it. Boom, boom, boom. Where are you? There it is. All right, so we'll kind of go over this excuse me,
Mm.
this Breitbart just this kind of topic, this idea that a lot of like, people in the black and Hispanic community are kind of more and more kind of starting to kind of like vote or lean a little bit more Republican. Let's see, there's this little thing. Pew points out that the Democratic Party's advantages among black and Hispanic voters in particular have narrowed down in somewhat in recent years. The polling shows that 35% of identify sorry, as Hispanics identify as Republican compared to 61% who identified as a Democrat. That drop that's a drop of full 9 points in Democratic Hispanic support since 2016. And 12% identify in the black community, 12% as Republican,
Mm.
while 83% Democrat. So yeah, it's an interesting kind of a turn of events that's kind of that's going on. I like, what do you kind of have to say about this kind of stuff?
I think in general, well, because I've mentioned earlier my buddy Leo.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to him, by the way. Shout out to him in this restaurant over in Wilmington. So I got to have some deep conversations about him with regards to this. Like, why is it that I mean you're a Catholic just like me. You come from a traditional household and stuff. So why is it that most Hispanos still sort of lean towards Democrats, even though a lot more are supposedly starting to wake up,
Mm-hmm.
you know, because a lot of what the left is doing these days, it's sort of like a mask off moment for a lot of these people, like the whole trans kids thing
Yeah,
stuff.
definitely.
So, well, according to him, it's sort of like been that way for a while because he used to be a registered Democrat too
Mm-hmm.
until I think 2020 because it's just that by default you go Democrat if you're like Rasa, you know.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, and it's sort of like because his parents came in the late 20th century, like sometime in the 80s, I believe.
Hmm.
So it's sort of like, with these recent generation of Hispano immigrants, they sort of rely on the folks that have been there for a while now. So my theory was, and he sort of agreed with me too. My
Hmm.
theory was that they would rely on they would rely on the Raza who were there previously, but these Raza, a lot of these people, like these were the types who were part of the generation of like Cesar Chavez, Dolores Huerta,
Yeah,
the whole Chicano movement. So those tend to be a lot more, even by default, they tend to be really left leaning. So
yeah.
these more recent immigrants will just take their word for it then and just follow and vote Democrat, even though they don't really know what they're in it for. I mean, most of them don't really care about politics too. That's another thing I'm
Hmm.
hearing. It's just that a lot of them don't really tend to go out and vote pretty much. But they still vote. But they still sort of lean Democrat in a way because of the whole migrant issue and the whole like deportations and stuff.
Yeah,
Supposedly,
a lot of them that I know, and this is like coming, just based, a lot of my family members and stuff like that. I think a lot of them just like it's just there we go. It's like a nervous tick to just always vote Democrat because
hmm
it, it's like even if you make great points, not like pro Trump or pro Republican points, but like points that are like that show how bad the Democrats have gotten. They it's like this thing where they just can't let it go. It's like this knee jerk reaction that they just have to vote Democrat. Um,
hmm
I think I think there might be some kind of like intimidation factor that comes with it. Like they feel like they just have to because their abuela voted Democrat or some shit like that. Like there's this weird
yeah,
thing that like they have to like somehow like inherit the Democrat voting gene and just pass it on, and they can't like let it
yeah,
go.
yeah,
But
yeah,
and this is kind of like what's cool. What's going on is like the Democrats and the left, just in general, or whatever you want to refer to them as. It's like they just have nothing to really offer nowadays,
right.
besides Republicans are scary for whatever reason, and it's interesting to just see like people just not like more and more people just are not buying that nowadays, and just like I don't care,
hmm
I just want to work, I want to be able to buy stuff and not be broke all the time, you know what I mean? Like just
Yeah,
these little things are just mounting up. um whether I don't know if it's really going to translate in the election. I'm not sure. Yeah, because it's a I don't know, the coming election is going to be very interesting to see how that'll
this
unfold.
coming November, huh?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it feels like it does feel like it's coming up super fast. Um, but I'm not so sure if it's like if it's enough for um, if the people that like yeah, shit, I lost my train of thought. um, I just worry. I'm just curious if like if the shit that people see now that are like the vote, diehard Democrat, like do they have it in them to at least not vote? You know what I mean? Not vote
yeah.
Democrat or Republican, but just not vote. Just stay home that day. Just say like this isn't for me. I'm just not gonna vote. I don't
Both
know.
sides suck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
um. So yeah, that's one thing I I have no prediction on how that's gonna kind of end up uh, going. But
But how about in the local elections though? Because I've seen this story. over on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Wait, let me look it up. Okay, it goes like this. This is from the LA Times. A California border town's first transgender mayor faces recall.
Is it
Because like,
is
yeah, because
is
like,
is it the mayor in Silver Lake by chance?
oh,
Or does it say?
Calexico.
Oh, oh, okay. Maybe it's a different one. There's another one. That's Jesus.
Yeah, because
Uh,
it's like 95% Hispano, pretty
mm-hmm.
much that town, and and so this mayor of theirs is facing recall. So that was really interesting to me. I literally just saw it when I woke up earlier this morning.
Hmm. I mean, like it's interesting. Like the trans thing is just creeping Hispanic people out more than on a political level. I think it just creeps them the fuck out, and
Yeah.
rightfully so.
Oh, totally, totally.
um,
And the whole Latinx thing isn't really helping things
yeah,
either. Yeah, right.
that stuff is just embarrassing. Yeah, I was reading I was going through an article, just through work, just kind of, I was just, just kind of trying to pass a couple 5 minutes or whatever, and it was a Huffington Post article on, damn it, what was it? I think it had something to do with inflation or something like that, and
Yeah.
like how it's affecting the Hispanic community, and then like I just kind of like scrolled through the article, and I just, my eye just saw the word Latinx, and I was just like, yeah, this article isn't for me. This isn't. I'm not gonna read that. you know. I hate that. I don't know. I've never met really anyone Hispanic that was down with the Latinx thing. It seems purely like
Just
a virtue signal kind of
yeah,
shit.
just weirdos online, pretty much. But I've seen it. It's also influencing woke Phil-Ams too, like Filipino Americans. They're now adopting Philippines as well.
Ew, really? Oh
Yeah,
shit.
it's universally hated here. Yeah,
Oh, I had no idea that was a thing. Oh god.
yeah, Philippines. And it's kind of dismaying too because I've seen some Phil-Am people on Pixar, some animators like I
Uh-huh.
used to look up to who are now openly using Philippines as well. And oh
Oh
man,
god.
gosh. And like they appeared on San Diego Comic Con just to talk about that. Like I think it was last year.
Mhm.
Yeah. Shit.
Oh god, that's so embarrassing. Ugh. I don't know. Ugh. It's so weird the how um people like have no suspicion of people trying to like influence language like that. Uh
Yeah.
yeah, like even if you've like never read like 1984 or whatever, just there should be like some gut instinct to think that something nefarious is going on when some people are trying to influence language, not particularly language in that
Oh,
sense.
absolutely. Yeah.
Um, yeah,
Newspeak.
yeah. It's like even if you don't know what that is, you should have some kind of like, I don't know, like primal kind of instinct to think that's just not a good idea to do.
Right.
Um, I remember having a sort of debate with I'll just as a person, and they mentioned they're pretty like left leaning, and they mentioned something about like I think I was pointing out like them being like hypocritical on something, and then they mentioned something about like well language doesn't matter or something like that, and I was just like, okay, well, what's the point of? Oh, she said something about like the meaning of words doesn't matter or something like that.
Right.
If you're fighting, fascism, pretty much is what her point was, and I was just like, what the? Well, then what's the point of language if there's no meaning behind our words? Like you might as well just be like grunting at each other like apes.
Right.
You know what I mean? And
Doing semaphore or something.
yeah, and yeah, needless to say that she didn't like that comment, and I think she just ended it there. But yeah, it was early on. Yeah, I've always been interested in like the influence of language. And when I see shit like that happen, my radar kind of turns on. Like, okay, something weird is going on.
Right.
you know. All right, let's get into this other story. We have a couple more minutes, so we'll kind of ease by it. There's this story about the UK is proposing a smartphone ban for teens of under 16 years old. Um, I don't know. I'm kind of mixed on this idea. I see the good and the bad. Um, Mainly on a culture war kind of aspect of it, because I don't think the left is going to kind of relinquish any power as far as like on a media level. Um, so I mean, if you're someone who's, you know, doesn't is a any kind of content creator, um, like how else are you going to kind of get your message out if there's no social media, especially when it comes to the youth.
Mm. Oh, I haven't really thought of that actually.
Yeah, that's the one thing about this that I'm a little kind of, I don't know about this idea. Like I get the whole like what it's doing to kids, like as far as anxiety, depression,
Right.
all that kind of stuff. But like on that kind of uh, influencer level, message level, like if you take away social media, like how will content creators that are trying to like combat the narrative, whatever narrative it is, like how are they going to be able to like advertise their message?
Oh,
Um,
exactly. And wow. Well, yeah, I never actually thought of that till you brought it up.
yeah,
Really. Yeah. It's cuz well, on one hand, I mean, I don't on the one hand, I think it really has to be up to it really has to be up to the family to sort of regulate their children's internet use or and
hmm,
whether or not they should have a cell phone.
yeah,
I'm on the side. I'm on the side that I'm on the side that thinks that uh, you got to be at a certain age before you use social media and
yeah,
before you
definitely, yeah,
actually have a cell phone and all that. Though I don't really think that there should necessarily be a law for that the family if I mean if the family just takes that matter into their own hands pretty much. I
yeah,
mean, because when I way I see it because I way I see it, I mean, I'm just allergic to all these government solutions as of
right.
late. 'Cause,
Well, you're a libertarian, so yeah,
yeah,
or
libertarian-ish.
almost,
Yeah,
yes,
yeah, kind of leaning. Yeah,
yeah,
so it's like one one today it's under 16s. The next day it will be like under 18s, and then after that it would be yeah, the definition would just expand,
mm-hmm,
or rather the criteria, like they'd include the mentally ill, they'd include, and
yeah,
then they'd give all these arbitrary descriptions for the mentally ill, like they could just say that, oh, you voted for Trump, so you must be mentally ill, so you're not allowed to use a cell phone.
yeah,
So it's
yeah,
like it's just a gateway to that. So yeah, I mean, I see the point. I mean, I see the point, but you don't really have to run to the government to pretty much outsource what should
mm-hmm,
have been a parental duty in the first place. No,
yeah, mm. Yeah. Because I mean, like it's become kind of a popular to like badmouth social media, and I'm not really the biggest fan of social media and like what it's done to people. But
right?
like
Yeah,
if it wasn't for social media, I wouldn't have been able to like have this conversation with you, kind of stuff. So um there is like a weird responsibility with social media, and like how you uh like I don't know, like how would you like test out how would you test people out to make sure that they're ready for social media is kind of one thing, because
right. Yeah,
like it makes me wonder, like if I had social media when I was in high school. I was like, it was like early 2000s. um like I first got into I was this was around the time like when like file sharing was really big, like the
hmm.
Napster and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, right. Yeah,
And
LimeWire.
yeah, all that kind of bear
Right.
share, all that shit. Um, and like, I was super addicted to just downloading music at that time. So if social media was around, I don't know how I would have how different I would have been then, and but I see it's so uh eerie to me when like I go to restaurants and I see like little kids on social media like at the dinner tables and stuff like that. So
Yeah, right.
I
So weird. It's like, man, it's like I couldn't really imagine myself either
mm-hmm.
because that's not how I grew up, and I'm not trying to like point it out as like when I was your age,
Yeah,
Sonny.
yeah,
I'm not trying to go for that point because but it's just disturbing,
mm-hmm.
see these underage kids very vulnerable to all the stranger danger online, just browsing about their feed, like some some nephews of mine, some nieces of mine,
Mm-hmm.
actually. Like, it's I mean, I chose not to have them in my socials, like following or having me on Facebook, because I don't think they're ready for the stuff that I post. But
Mm-hmm.
then it's kind of scary and surprising to see that they follow all these drama YouTubers, for instance,
Yeah, yeah,
talking about stuff that they shouldn't that I wasn't really even aware of when I was their age. No.
yeah. Mm. Yeah, 'cause, I mean, like when I was in those years of like the early 2000s, like did you ever go to like those like those extreme video websites like the what's it called, like rotten.com? Did you ever have stuff like that?
Oh no, I don't think I've heard of that before.
It was
Because
like it kind of like it was big in that kind of time where it was like videos of like brawl fights, beheading
oh
videos, websites that
oh
kind of cater to that kind of stuff.
like
And
snuff films
not
and
necessarily snuff films, but just like, police cam footage of, a beating or like a what do you call it? Like a security cam video of like an armed robbery that goes wrong or something like that. Just like extreme videos like that. Um
mm, I don't know. I don't think I've come across that before.
it's an odd it was an odd phase in the internet. But this was like somewhere around like between like MySpace and Facebook. This kind of these kind of websites kind of got kind of big, and
Oh.
um yeah, like remember what was it called, Two Girls One Cup?
Oh, that.
Yeah, it was
That
kind of
was.
like that era, that
Oh,
kind of
okay.
stuff of internet videos was kind of becoming big. I think that was like between MySpace and Facebook kind of
Okay,
era.
I think I vaguely remember. Well, not the site specifically, but just some of the content that
That
came out.
yeah, and
It That was big when I was in high school. It was like mid 2000s.
yeah, I was thinking about that a while ago, like how odd that like something like Two Girls One Cup
Yeah,
became like a cultural phenomenon, like,
right.
and
Yeah,
it's like the most disgusting thing ever, but it was something that like your grandma knew about it or something like that. So,
yeah.
um, yeah, but with that and like seeing like this smartphone ban, this social media thing, I don't know. Like I said, I don't like getting on the kind of hating social media bandwagon that much. Because
Oh yeah,
there's
it's a futile cost. Like if you just talk shit about TikTok, pretty much about how TikTok is like a Chinese apparatus and that
yeah.
you should really use it. Because no, I think at this point, I mean that's kind of the problem with the right too, like with the whole TikTok ban,
Mm-hmm.
like that they're trying to promote. You
Yeah.
know, it's like instead of beating the drums against like some force that's not going to
Mm-hmm.
stop soon, you might as well just ride the wave and make the most out of it in the
Yeah.
meantime. You know?
Mm. Yeah. it's one of those things like I just don't know how you stop the bad from manifesting itself. Um,
Yeah.
kind of thing. So I don't know. It's an interesting kind of topic. All right. I guess before we go, let's kind of like at least watch this gem of a video. This is Hillary Clinton produced play called the Suffs. Uh,
Oh
I
man.
I guess like based on like the suffragette movement. I guess. This made it to Broadway, I believe. The
Yeah.
Broadway stage, and ugh. I guess before we go, let's just watch this clip because, ugh. All right, let's watch it.
President, hear our cry. Mr. President, hear our cry. We, the women of the country. We, the women of the country. We demand to be heard. We demand to be heard. We demand to be seen. We demand to be seen. We demand equality and nothing in between. Equality. We demand to be heard. We demand to
Oh
be
man.
heard. We demand to be known. We demand to be known. We demand a voice of our
I'm trying to hold it, bro.
Oh, okay. Wow, that is so bad. Oh man.
Dude, you shouldn't say anything bad, or else you like, you get Arkansided somewhere.
Probably. Oh my god. Like I
Clap
don't.
or die.
I don't want to hate on like musicals because that sounds so easy, but this looks so just uncool. Um, my God,
Oh man, it's painfully millennial.
and it's so corporate feeling too, which is so embarrassing about it. Um,
I mean, I'd imagine someone like Taylor Lorenz would, would
oh
would
God,
enjoy it. Yeah. Those types of people.
yeah. You see that video of her dancing at like the Pornhub
Wait, no
party?
way. She did? No, no. Oh
Yeah,
man.
I think I wonder if I could find it. Oh God, because I think I want to say Pornhub threw a party and they invited her. Fuck.
Oh my gosh.
And it's so like it has like that embarrassing white girl trying to dance party thing. Let's see. Let's see if I can find it. Uh, oh, damn! I don't know if I can find it. Shit. Ah, damn it. I guess I'll hold that for another time. I guess you can Google it whenever you kind of have a chance. But yeah, it's so just cringe and just douchey. Oh man,
Yeah.
that's the one like ray of hope I do have for like the culture war is that I think I've mentioned before like that the left's dominance on culture is just it's getting to a point where like it's making everything they touch super lame and
Hmm.
uncool. So like it makes like and what I consider the right now is just anyone that opposes the woke crap.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily mean that you're Republican, conservative, or whatever. It just means you just look at the wokeness as like the cancer that it kind of is, and
Yeah. And that kind of wants to suck you into it. That you're no.
yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
so like if you're any kind of content creator, because like the culture war kind of has to mainly be fought, I think, through media more than anything. And yeah, so like if I think the easiest thing is just not be as lame as the left and even make fun of the left, and I think you'll gain like the youth through that much more than like, you know, trying so hard to make like, pro constitution cartoons or whatever, you know what I mean?
Exactly. I mean, people don't like being preached to in general.
Mhm. Yeah.
Like they don't want to be like they don't want to be sorry, they don't like being lectured to rather.
Mhm.
because I think it's just a natural human reaction of sorts, you know.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, so it's like they like that's why I'm not really that much into debating either, or like trying to like convince people
Mm-hmm.
actually this is how things should go, blah blah blah.
Right.
Yeah, you're not really going anywhere. That's what I mentioned earlier. It's much better to just meet people where they are
Yeah.
and just work from there. Just work slowly. You don't really have to. I mean, even though you may know you're right on certain things, truth doesn't necessarily truth doesn't necessarily need to be pushed. It just needs a little tug here and there, because
Yeah.
truth will eventually come to that person. But it's not really at your whim, not really at your pace, but it's usually at theirs.
Hmm. Yeah. Yeah. I guess we'll kind of leave it there. That was a good way to end the show.
Right.
um, I guess before we head out, you want to mention where people can find you?
Okay, you guys can find me at Felix de Javier. That's my handle over on Instagram and on Twitter. And also, I forgot to mention this at the start. I actually illustrated a children's book for Jack Lloyd and Philosopher. Shout out to them for
Hmm,
giving me this
nice.
opportunity. It's titled The Unschooled Adventures of Jack and Fa. So check that out. They're currently selling on Amazon,
Oh,
and it's
cool.
basically unschooling. It's sort of like alternative education for kids, like just to sort of discover themselves outside of the public education system.
Oh, nice. Nice. All right. I guess we'll kind of end it there. Thank you, Felix, for being on. This is fun. Um, and,
Gracias, Senor.
and thank you guys for watching. Hope you guys have a lovely day, lovely week. Like, subscribe, share, all that kind of stuff. Check out Felix's stuff. His stuff is really amazing and just all around fun guy to talk to. All right. See you guys.